This is the Center for Student Coaching and Success. My name is Colby Jubenville, and I'd like to welcome you to the campus of Middle Tennessee State University. You've now reached Coaching Module 2, and these are a series of modules that are designed so that you can develop the right mindset to go through this process that we call the 5 to Arrive. And Jim Rohn said it best when he said the same wind blows on all of us. The wind of failure, the wind of change, the wind of opportunity, and the wind of success. And it's not about the blowing of the wind, it's about the set of the sail. So how do we set a better sail? According to Rohn, he says you correct the errors of your past and set new disciplines for your future. And these new disciplines come in the form of coaching. One of the things that you'll learn through this process is that reality looks something like this. That every day we have to wake up and solve problems and make decisions. In leadership and management roles, that's what we do. And how we solve those problems and make those decisions ultimately define the results that are created for the organization and for ourselves. And those results ultimately define whether we move up, down, or stay right where we are in our career. And staying right where we are in that career process is called the Peter Principle. And what I believe is that it is a true phenomenon that takes place in business and in careers, and that we reach this stage in our career where we have to break through. We have to break with. Maybe we have to break down, but we have to change. And change to me begins with mindset. And so you're looking in front of you at your screen, or maybe you've printed off this module, and it's the second module, and the modules are competing on unique value. And so the way that I came up with this idea of unique value was that I was reading a book, and the sentence from the book said this: at the heart of competition is strategy, and at the heart of strategy is not simply about being the best, it's about the unique value that you deliver. And so when I started to think about unique value, I started to think about what makes up our unique value. And to me, what makes up that unique value is your unique perspective, education, your unique education, and your unique experience. These things, your unique perspective, education, and experience, ultimately are going to be the things that separate you from other people. And so in this module, what I want you to first understand is that how unique perspective, education, and experience are real, and that second, having the ability to communicate your unique perspective, your unique education, and your unique experience will help you create a competitive advantage in the marketplace. These things together make up what I consider to be your unique value. So what ultimately is found within your perspective, education, experience? Well, if you're looking at the worksheet, you can see that it's your knowledge, your skill, your desire, your confidence, your likability, your networks, and then ultimately this thing called you. It's this free prize called you. And what I hope happens for you throughout this process, both in the initial coaching modules and ultimately in the 5 to Arrive programming, is that you'll uncover these things. This particular module is set up so that you can, in fact, begin to go through that process. Look what it says there: understanding these moments. Understanding these moments as they unfold prior to and during your journey will help you understand and articulate the defining moments that are both relatable and transferable to your success and ultimately your future. The discovery of these moments will help you compete on your unique perspective, education, and experience so you can create a bigger future. This will happen to you throughout your career at Middle Tennessee State University. There's going to be a class that allows you to gain some new perspective. There's going to be a professor or a coach or a mentor or an advisor that's going to give you some small piece of their unique education that ultimately becomes your unique education. And then you're going to have some kind of experience here that is uniquely yours. And then you'll be armed in the moment to have that discussion with other people about why that's so important. This is about how you separate yourself from other people. This is about how you separate yourself from other people. So let me give you some specific examples before we dive into the module. My unique perspective comes from my relationship with my parents. I was born to two educators that taught me the way you take on the world is to become an educator, marry an educator, and educate other people. And so I've spent an entire career building on that simple idea. And to me, the greatest opportunity that we have in education is really twofold. It's first to help students find their voice. And I found my voice early in life. And voice to me is the intersection of talent, passion, conscience, and need in the world. My voice that I found early in life at St. Paul's High School in Mobile, Alabama, was to coach and teach on an ever-increasing stage. In fact, the opportunity to be with you here today in this moment as you complete this module is certainly about and defined by finding my voice. The second greatest opportunity, I believe, in terms of how I see education, the second greatest opportunity we have on a college campus is to help students learn how to develop, protect, and maintain their confidence. Our confidence continues to be under attack throughout the entire day. Our confidence continues to be under attack by our own minds, by the adversity that we face, by the challenges that we create for ourselves, by the challenges that are created by other people, by the environments that we work within, by our relationships. Our confidence continues to be under attack. And so if we will teach students, I believe, how to find their voice and how to protect, develop, and maintain their confidence, that will lead them to a greater level of success. Notice what it says there. See, that's my unique perspective. That is my unique perspective. That is how I see education. And what that allows me to do is when I communicate that to other people, then other people have to decide if they in fact agree with that or can align with that. And that's how great relationships, enduring relationships, lasting relationships are formed. That's part of my unique perspective. My unique education comes from my experiences at St. Paul's in Mobile, Alabama, at Millsaps College in Jackson, Mississippi, and at the University of Southern Mississippi in Hattiesburg, Mississippi. And ultimately, that education can be summed up in what I call becoming the student of the process. At some point along the way, I fell in love with learning. At some point along the way, I fell in love with becoming a student of the process. And I think I remember the day that it ultimately all came together for me. I was in a class taught by a guy named Dr. Walter Cooper. And while I don't remember the name of the class, I do remember Dr. Cooper because he exposed me to something called Deming's 14 points. And while I didn't have the confidence to truly embrace the material, I began to go back and review those 14 points almost on a daily basis. Deming, W. Deming, and his 14 points are credited to be some of the most basic philosophies that have driven business throughout the decades. He is considered to be the father of modern statistics and ultimately the father of quality. And so while that may or may not be something that you truly understand just yet, it's his 14 points that ultimately were part of my unique education that led me to this idea of becoming a student of the process. And so one of the things that I hope happens for you is that while you go through this unique process, that you, in fact, become a student of the process as well. That you, in fact, understand that process, and the more intentional that we can get about process, ultimately will allow us to get the results that we want. And so that's part of my unique education. My unique experience comes from my career path. In 1998, I started a football team from the ground up, a college football team from the ground up. No phones, no computers, no players, no uniforms, just a dream. And we ended up, I believe, it's been a while back, 1998, but we ended up at one point ranked in the top 20 or top 25 in the country. And so when I had the opportunity, in small college football, it was NAIA football, but when I had the opportunity to start a college football team from the ground up, with no phones, no computers, no players, no uniforms, just a dream, it allows you to have a unique experience that is completely different than anyone else. And so there's a great examples, I believe, of my unique perspective, how I see what I do, my unique education, how I know what I do, and my unique experience, how I connect and deliver to what I do. So let's jump into the module now that you understand unique perspective, education, and experience. And now that you understand that these things, knowledge, skill, desire, confidence, likability, networks, and ultimately this free prize, this unique value called you, is what will separate you from other people. And more importantly, that you understand that you have to be able to articulate to others about your unique perspective, education, and experience so that you can attract the right relationships, the right opportunities, the right defining moments that will allow you to say, this is the life that I want to live, and this is the person that I'm supposed to become in order to have the opportunity to live that life. So let's look at this first exercise. It says, pick 7 of these and provide as much insight about you, your past performance, attributes, competencies, and how your answers are related to your career path. The scoring section does not need to be completed. Highlight the questions you answer. So, what I have listed are behavioral-based interview questions. And what I would like for you to do is read through these and tell me about a time related to these behaviors. Notice what I say in the directions. Pick 7. Provide as much insight about you, your past performance, your attributes, your competencies, and how your answers are related to your career path. Here's what I want you to understand. There is no right or wrong answer here. Go through and look at these behaviors and look at the ones and highlight the ones that resonate the most with you so that we can start to talk about and frame up your perspective, education, and experience. The goal of this exercise is for you to look internally and decide which one of these behaviors allows you to communicate to others about your unique perspective, education, and experience. There's many to choose from in there. One of the things that you need to do is spend time with all of the different behaviors and decide which one of those that you want to focus on the most. So that's the first exercise. The first exercise focuses on you picking 7 of these behaviors and tell stories about these behaviors that provide insights about you. Look under Achiever, the first one. Tell me about the achievement you are most proud of and why. What was that process and steps you followed to accomplish it? So I'll give you an example. As I sit in my office, I'm staring at this little trophy. It's actually a plaque. And it says, Colby Gibbonville, Millsaps College, Outstanding Defensive Lineman, 1993. And I'll describe the little plaque to you. It's a mahogany plaque with a gold border and then with a black background and a little gold helmet. And it's probably about, oh, I don't know, 5 inches by 5 inches, maybe 6 inches by 6 inches. And the reason that it's so important to me is that it's part of how I transitioned from what I consider being a child or being an adolescent or being my pathway into adulthood. Playing college football at the Division III level, there's a couple of things that I learned. First, you better really want to do it. And second, probably the only days that I ever really enjoyed were game days. And I think those of us that have played college athletics probably understand this better than anybody. And so this award, this little 6x6 plaque with a gold helmet, is representative of one of the greatest achievements for me, which is we started off with 36 freshmen. I think we ended up with 6 my senior year. And the coach saw enough in me that he was willing to recognize my contribution and my commitment to the team and to myself and to the college. And so this little award is the first time that I really felt like I achieved something all on my own. So what I want you to do is go through and look at. And as we find out later, it certainly wasn't all on my own, that there were people that helped along the way. But to sit in that room at that banquet at the conclusion of your college football career and receive that award, it became, as I look back, it became one of the defining moments, and certainly in terms of achieving, is a defining moment for me in my life. What I want you to do is look through all of these, highlight the 7 that you think are the ones you want to focus on, and then be able to tell those stories. And we'll work together on that. But again, this is about developing your mindset. Let's look at the next worksheet. And this is about getting you to think in new ways. Unique value is made up of unique perspective, education, experience that's made up of knowledge, skill, desire, confidence, likability, and networks. That's then made up of these stories. Because what we know is that stories are what connect us to other people. And the most basic need that all of us have is to connect and feel connected. All right, I think we've got that figured out. Let's then move to the next worksheet, which is immediate value. Immediate value. Look what it says there. Companies want to know 2 things today. How can you make them money or save them money? I think this is so true today, and I think it's certainly part of what you have to try to understand as you're developing this new mindset about ultimately becoming gainfully employed prior to walking across the stage at graduation, which is, by the way, the vision of this center. So, companies want to know 2 things today. How can you make them money or save them money? Here's number 1, and you may not be able to answer that today, and that's okay, but certainly it's related to your unique perspective, education, and experience. What value can you bring immediately to the marketplace? And I call it the marketplace of ideas. This can be based on your perspective, education, and experience. For me, the value that I knew that I could bring early on in my career was the ability to coach and teach. I was raised by and born to 2 coaches and teachers, and realized that ultimately that's something that I could truly be the best at, and that's where my true value was. So think about that. What value can you bring immediately to the marketplace? It's based on your perspective, education, and experience. Look at number 2. What is the activity that makes you feel strong? What is the activity that makes you feel strong? Strength is something you have at work because you love doing it. You're probably good at it, and you know when you do it, you enjoy it. For me, it's one-on-one coaching and teaching. That is when I feel like I am most strong. One-on-one coaching and teaching. Look at number 3. What is the activity that depletes you? A weakness is not something you're bad at. It's something you do at work that you don't like to do. You loathe this activity. You loathe this activity. You could be good at it, but when you do it, you'd rather be doing your strength. This is really important to get, and certainly it's a key philosophy of the center. Because, see, there's something that we're taught early on in our careers, and it's not true. We're taught that there's something noble about toleration, and it's not true. What you tolerate ultimately takes all the energy out of you. What you tolerate ultimately takes all the energy out of you. For me, what depletes me is doing activities that don't truly have meaning and are not tied truly to helping students find their voice and protect and develop and maintain their confidence. So here's one for you. You ready? Reading from a PowerPoint. It depletes me. I don't want a PowerPoint. I don't use PowerPoints unless I'm asked to and forced to, and that starts the toleration, which starts the weakness, which starts the depletion of my energy. Look at number 4. Name your last 3 bosses. Yearly ratings 1 through 10. How did they score you? What did you do to earn that score? What did they tell you needed to work on? What did you do to develop your gaps communicated to you by your bosses? Those are things that ultimately you may or may not be able to answer right now. But again, it's about a general understanding of how others rated you, where your gaps were, how that impacted you, and what you did to develop within those gaps. There's exercise 2, immediate value. I think that we ultimately have discussed unique value, but I think it's also important to, now that you've gone through those steps of identifying those 7 behaviors that you believe is related to your perspective, education, and experience, now it's your turn to write those down. Your unique value is made up of your unique perspective, education, and experience. Unique value drives you, and it's made up of the following: unique perspective, how you see what you do; unique education, how you know what you do; and unique experience, how you connect and deliver what you do. So now it's your turn. My unique perspective is, my unique education is, and my unique experience is. Answer those. Be ready to take the next step, which is to go into coaching module 3.